You also said that you guys had been around doing this in Casper since October 2014. Well, I just attended Business Alliance, what was that, May 11th? And that's when they said they were breaking up into committee for this. So either your guys are been around doing this for a long time and this Business Alliance didn't know about it, or somebody got their lines crossed, because I'm getting two different stories. Like, this was just recently brought up, this is just brand new for us to consider and the whole bit, but you're talking, you've already had committee meetings on this, you've already had visioning meetings on this and all of that. But the Business Alliance didn't act like that at all when I sat in on their meeting. They acted like this was the first time this was coming out.
Members of the technical committee for this project include representatives from each government that has property adjacent to the freeway, the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development Agency, CADA, was invited. The Convention and Visitors Bureau was a part of it as well. So, I'm not terribly familiar with these.
They were all present at that. I mean, CADA was represented, and God, I don't know, probably 25 developers and 50 real estate people. I didn't see very many landowners that own property along these highways. I saw a lot of the developers and real estate guys, but...
I'm not familiar with the event. I can't speak to it.
So you don't know the Business Alliance? Who they are?
Personally, no.
Thank you.
Sounds like a great group to get involved.
They're the one that supposedly thought of this.
Yeah, and actually to go back to the bike ped thing, that was one question that we kind of dealt with the interchanges at Bar None. I mean, we were talking with the Department of Transportation. They were kind of, their position starting out was, well, there's nobody walking there now. So therefore, we do not need to provide that because there's not a demand for that. And then our approach was, yeah, but you put in that interchange and you get a gas station there and you build the houses out to there. Pretty soon you got the kids walking on the highway to the gas station. And so really, including a lot of this type of things, intervisual simulations, was really to kind of help them visualize what that would be as well. It's not as big of a deal as they feel like it may be. If you can kind of visualize it, it's a little bit more realistic. You can kind of start to brainstorm ideas on how you might make it work, versus just kind of saying, well, nobody's walking there now, so obviously you don't need a sidewalk. So the effort on the purpose of the plan is to kind of flip that conversation and be like, oh yeah, I saw a picture where they did that bike lane. Is that something that we can do, at Wardell Interchange, or that sort of thing. So that was really the intent of a lot of these visual simulations. Like Jared said, you start stimulating that conversation.
Well, there's been scuttlebutt for a long time, and you've probably talked to this, Mr. Pilcher, of a truck stop north of town. I don't know if that's just talk or what.
No, blackout has made it impossible.
So it's just scuttlebutt.
They have pretty much a no, but not only no, but no way attitude.
What interchange is that supposed to be at?
Pardon me?
Where are they going to put this new interchange that they're talking about?
Oh, up on top of the hill with the gravel pit.
Oh.
Is where they've got the mine now. Because that'll tie the road in out to the rail facility behind the airport.
That's in the make it now, isn't it?
Well,
that's correct.
Theoretically someday.
It's scheduled for construction in 2018.
Pardon me?
It's scheduled for construction in 2018.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Has it gotten that far along?
And the truck stop ain't going to fly out there then?
It would have to be permitted, land would have to be purchased, and it would have to be worth someone's while. And remember, YDOT fights progress tooth and nail. I possess a stack of letters where they fought my projects tooth and nail since 1960. The theory that they're business pros is a false one indeed. It makes for a wonderful presentation, but it's not a based in reality presentation. It's first no, but hell no.
And it's not unique to only your,
It should be the other way. I agree, it should be the other way, but it just isn't.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, with this going on, there's gonna come a time where there's gonna be code enforcement involved for businesses and private properties that are along these corridors. What do you see gonna happen with that? I mean, is, people gonna suddenly be required to put up fencing and screening to hide, you know, their business equipment, whether it be oil field or, propane tanks or whatever? And with that, the reason that these people had bought these properties to begin with was they paid high prices for these properties to be located along these main corridors, not only for advertisement, but also for the room. They paid extra money for this. And if they're gonna be, code enforcement's gonna suddenly come in and say, you know, we don't like the way your oil field equipment looks from the highway, we're gonna want you to screen. Now you're essentially taking these people's rights to be what they were when they bought their properties. It's also known as a grandfathering use. And I spent a lot of money fighting for this in this town, and I'm not gonna let this happen to anyone else. This is etched in stone. If somebody's using your land or your business area for what it is, they're not gonna be subject to your pretty police. So how do you see dealing with these businesses that are gonna be classified as eyesores by our newest plan to beautify our corridors?
Well, I think, you know, you definitely want to, first of all, establish a working relationship with the business owners. It's definitely a partnership. You know, we all know if we come in kind of top-heavy, government top-down, nobody really enjoys that type of a process. And so it really does need to be more of a grassroots coming back up from that. You know, if property owners have a desire to improve their property and there's opportunities and ideas out there, they should have opportunities to resources to fulfill their vision. And as people brought up in the listening sessions, that if they do make the investments in their property, that they shouldn't be penalized for that. And so I think we need to look at you know, creative ways to incentivize businesses to do that. You know, I recently worked with an RV dealership along an interstate corridor in Billings where they bought in the county and they did just that. They bought interstate frontage because they liked the visibility of it, the access to the land, the right of the entryway into town, and they were kind of surprised at their particular area, the zoning, which they must have figured out after they bought the property, required, you know, trees for every 25 foot of right-of-way along that interstate corridor. And they were concerned about that. And, you know, of course, the reason for that is that we want nice, beautiful green corridors, but at the same time, the businesses have a right to, like you mentioned, they paid extra for that frontage property on there and utilize that as an incentive for their business. You know, working with them, you know, we talked about different ways that code can be interpreted. You don't necessarily need to plant the row of trees in that corridor, but maybe you can cluster them and that you would identify key views so that key signage on the property is still visible and maintained. Interesting building features can be incorporated into their design where they can do that. Or perhaps if they, you know, they separate kind of the landscaping to provide those views and then they put the landscaping in the back or reshape that around. I think there's ways that you can work with that instead of penalizing that property owner for that. So
you're asking them to spend more money on their property because you don't like the way it looks. Is that correct?
No, no, not at all. We're saying that working within the existing codes and regulations that you need to partner with the community to make a win-win for everybody.
Judy, as you well know, when I was on the commission, the way I see it, no one wants to stifle, is that the right word, stifle, any current businesses along the interstate. I would think the city fathers, county commissioners, and whoever would want to work with them. And, you know, hopefully we can all come to an agreement, like you were saying, to work hand in hand. Because now I wouldn't want to hurt any business along the interstate.
I mean, if you think about it, Terry, a lot of those guys that bought those frontage properties have stuff. Think of the guy with the tanks out there. the one with the oil field equipment coming in from the airport. Hell, there's probably a dozen like that there. I mean, what are we gonna suddenly do? Say, look guys, we don't like the way your stuff looks, so we're gonna either ticket you if you don't comply with what we're telling you to do. You're making more lawsuits is what you're doing. When you start messing with people's property, what if they don't want to put slats in their fences and they don't want to put trees up? I mean, then what? You know what I mean? I mean, you can ask people to do things and you can work with them, but by God, you better not try to force them to do it, because you're picking for blood.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's suggesting that at all, honestly. I think we want to be able to work within our community rights-of-ways and emphasize those things that are within the public domain and get those corridors, the medians looking nice as you come into town. Let's get the wire fences repaired. Let's get the gravel swept up. Let's get the paint done on the bridges. You know, I think those little things will really go a long way to accomplish your goals that you're trying to achieve through this plan. Any other questions? Oh, great. I appreciate everybody for coming tonight, and thank you. Please fill out your green forms, and your feedback's important to us, and we look forward to any ideas that you may have. Thank you.